This video contains 18 slides in all on phonological processes and more specifically on syllable structure. Here are the contents with some detail. First, we cover consonant deletion, and this is the case where we have a consonantal cluster and we reduce the number of consonants by deleting one of them. Then we move on to vowel deletion, where you have usually two contiguous vowels, and in that case, we usually proceed to the deletion of one of the vowels. And three is on glide insertion. This is a case where we have juxtaposed vowels, that is, one vowel next to the other, and we need to separate them by inserting a glide. Number four is on vowel and consonant coalescence. This is where a vowel and a consonant merge to make one single sound. We'll see that with some detail later on. Number five is on major class change. This is essentially on how vowels become glides in some contexts. And six is on metathesis, and this is where the order of segments or sounds is swapped in some cases. Number seven is on vowel reduction. This is where major or main vowels are reduced to schwa when they're not stressed. And number eight, and finally, is on neutralization. And we consider neutralization in German. This is a case where the difference between sounds is reduced or neutralized in a specific context. Now, let us look at what we mean by syllable first. Syllables are sound units above the segment, that is the sound, and below the word. Usually, a syllable is associated with a vowel, so that words with one vowel are one-syllable words, and words with two or three vowels are two or three-syllable words, regardless of the number of consonants in a word. Here are some examples to justify this. Look at these examples. We move on from one consonant and one vowel to five or more consonants and still one vowel, but in all cases it's still just one syllable. In other words, a syllable is associated with a vowel. Now, syllable structure processes are processes that aim at reaching the basic syllable pattern, that is the CV pattern. The CV pattern is the basic syllable structure that we find in essentially all languages. Languages have a tendency to simplify syllable structure. In other words, segments, consonants or vowels, may be inserted or deleted to change a complicated syllable structure, for example, CCV or VCC, etc., by inserting a vowel to get a CVCV pattern, or deleting a consonant to get to the basic CV pattern. In other words, in all cases, the aim is to reach the basic syllable pattern. Now let's pick up consonant deletion as the first example. We pick up an example from French. In French, a word final consonant is deleted if the following word begins with a consonant. In other words, we have a situation where two consonants meet. Example, petit bateau. How is this pronounced? The last consonant in the word petit is deleted. as you can see. So this results in a basic syllable pattern. Look at petit bateau. You have C, V, C, V in the first word, followed by the same pattern again. And so we reach the simple, the preferred syllable structure. Here are more examples on this rule from French. Now, to avoid this complicated CCV pattern on the boundary between words, French resorts to the deletion of the final consonant in the first word so that we reach the basic CV structure. Look at the examples. Here, these examples, we have a pair of words where the first word ends in a consonant and the next word begins with a vowel. So if we look at the structure, the CV structure of the words, we have the CV pattern in the word boundaries. So no problem here, the consonants are not dropped. Now, however, when the next word in each pair begins with a consonant, the first consonant in the word is dropped. The last consonant of the first word is dropped. So look at the examples. You have petit oignon, but you have petit gâteau. You have gros ail, big garlic, but you have gros poisson. You have très étroit, but you have très large. You have trop aigu, but you have trop bon. And grand homme and grand-père. So look at these with some detail here. Trop aigu. Look at the word boundaries. We have a C followed by a V. However, look at trop large. We have VC in the first word followed by CV. So that's a consonantal cluster right on the boundaries. And we delete, of course, the last consonant in the first word to get to the preferred basic syllable pattern. Now we move on to vowel deletion. When morphemes are attached to each other or words are put next to each other, there sometimes results a situation of juxtaposed vowels. That is, vowels one next to the other. This is called hiatus. It is common for languages in general to find ways to avoid having contiguous vowels. This is sometimes referred to as prohibition against hiatus. One of the ways to evade hiatus is to delete one of the vowels. As a case in point, look what happens in تجليد. In تجليد, a suffix vowel is deleted if the stem ends in a vowel to avoid having a situation of hiatus. Now look at these words. تمرت إنو, أرجز إنو, أفوس إنو. Here we have a CV pattern on the word boundaries and we have no problem. Now look what happens when we have two contiguous vowels. Darwa inu, agayu inu, dasa inu. What happens is this. The vowel of the possessive pronoun inu is dropped to keep the CV pattern, and so darwa inu is pronounced in fact darwanu. Ageyu inu is pronounced ageyunu, and tesa inu is actually incorrect. The correct form would be tesanu. In fact, Tasnahit has another way of avoiding the situation of hiatus is to insert a glide to separate two contiguous vowels. Now, notice what happens when a word ends in a vowel and the next begins with a vowel. Now here we have the demonstrative pronoun this that comes after the noun. Ergez ed, agarased, udmauned. Now here we have no problem on the boundaries of words. We have the first word ending in a consonant and the next begins with a vowel. But when we end up having two vowels, look what happens. Tira ad, agayu ad, tigmi ad. Now the native speaker proceeds to the insertion of a glide to separate the two vowels, and so these are pronounced tirayed, agayuyed, tigmiyed. A further example on this case is from French, where we have three kinds of glides which are inserted depending on the nature of the vowels that precede the glide. For example, look at in French, a glide with the same features for backness and rounding as the vowel of the verb. That is, if the vowel of the verb is minus back, minus round, the glide that is going to be inserted has the same features. It's also minus back, minus round. If the vowel is plus back, plus round, as in u, for example, the glide that is going to be inserted next to that vowel is the glide w with the same features for backness and rounding. Look at the examples. Now here we have the verbs in the imperative form, and then we shift to the infinitive form. Look at the verb deny, ni. We add the infinitive suffix a, and we end up with two vowels, e and a. E is minus back, minus round, so therefore we are going to insert the glide e, which is also minus back, minus round. The same case happens in the verb pli, fold. Now look what happens in nu. The vowel of the verb is u, which is plus back, plus round. And as we add the infinitive suffix a, we end up having two contiguous vowels. That is a situation of hiatus. Now French inserts the glide that has the same features for backness and rounding. That's the glide w. Now look at the next verb here, the verb sweat, su. When we add the infinitive suffix, we need to insert a glide with the same features for backness, rounding, and rounding as the vowel in the verb. So the vowel in the verb is minus back plus round. The glide which is inserted is also minus back plus round. And we pronounce that suer. Look at the verb love. The verb love behaves exactly like the verb deny and fold that we have seen before. The verb rent, on the other hand, contains the vowel u, which is plus back plus round. And the vowel which is inserted in the infinitive form is the vowel w, which is also plus back plus round. And we pronounce that loué. We have a similar process in English where we insert a glide to separate two vowels. Look at the adjective happy in the comparative form where we say happier. And look at the glide that is inserted to separate the two vowels. Same thing happens in the word pretty, where you have prettier. Now we move on to the fourth process, that is vowel and consonant coalescence. This is a case where a vowel and a following consonant are merged to make only one sound. And one of the famous processes in this respect is vowel nasalization. We pick up an example from French. In French, a low vowel is nasalized when followed by a nasal consonant. So the result is that instead of having two segments, that is a vowel and a nasal consonant, we end up having only one, a nasalized vowel. Look at the examples. Quantité. Now look at the French spelling. You can still see the nasal in the French spelling. That's why I have this French spelling there between parentheses. Bonté. Peinture. White. That's for the verb, the noun blanc. Con. Plein. The fifth process that we have on our list is on major class change. This is we need a reminder before we explain what this is all about. So there are three major classes of sounds, as you remember: consonants, vowels, and glides. Now, major class change is when you move from one major class to another. In other words, usually this involves a vowel that becomes a glide in this manner. Now, this is a process that usually takes place to avoid a vowel cluster, that is, to practice the principle of prohibition against hiatus. So when you have two contiguous vowels, the expected result is often for one of the vowels to become a glide, as you can see here. So one of the ways to achieve a resolution of hiatus is to change a vowel into a glide. Now look at this example from Ndebele, spoken in Zimbabwe, where we have a vowel changing into a glide to avoid a situation of hiatus. Now, when you have um, the vowel U and then followed by another vowel, this vowel U becomes the glide W. Look at the data below. ukuenza, ukuaja, ukuala, ukuesola, and this will be pronounced as in the following examples: okuenza, okuaja, okuala, okuesola. So you can see how the Ndebele language avoids hiatus by converting a vowel into a glide. Another example on major class change from pick up from French. And in French, a high vowel converts to the corresponding glide. That is, I becomes Y, U becomes W, and U becomes U. That's what we mean by a high vowel converts to the corresponding glide. If this high vowel is followed by another vowel, this is a case of major class change. It takes place to avoid the prohibition against hiatus. Look at the examples. Dévi, défi, avoue, bafou. We need to remind here ourselves that this happens in casual speech, not in slow speech, in everyday language. So dévi, look at, it's going to be pronounced dévier, défi, défier, avoue, avouer, and bafouer. Notice how the high vowels changes into the corresponding glide with the same features for backness and rounding. Now we move on to metathesis. We pick up an example from Hanunu, spoken in the Philippines. Now, two segments may interchange where we have XY that becomes YX. A glottal stop, when followed by a consonant, is in another morphological form a glottal stop followed. We shift and we swap the order of the glottal stop and the consonant. Look at these examples. Usa, upat, unum, and tulu. Now, in a different morphologically related form, look what happens where the glottal stop and the consonant s are swapped. Usa becomes kas'a, upat, kap'at, unum, kan'um, and tulu becomes katlu. So this is what metathesis is about. It's about the swapping of the order of segments. Our next syllable structure process is on vowel reduction. And we're going to pick up examples from English where a vowel is reduced to a schwa in case it is not stressed. Look at the examples below. The vowel a in Japan becomes when it is not stressed. It's pronounced Japanese. Japanese. The vowel a in able, when it is stressed, it's a. When it is unstressed, it's ability. The vowel all in photo becomes the schwa when it is unstressed in photography. Photography. The vowel A in Canada becomes the schwa in Canadian. And notice the vowel O in philosophy, how it becomes a schwa when the stress moves to another vowel and it becomes philosophical. Now the vowel A in family, when the stress shifts to the next vowel, the A becomes the schwa familiar. We move on to our last process here, which is neutralization. And we take one of the most famous languages for neutralization, which is German, and we look at examples of neutralization. Now, what neutralization is that a difference between two contrasting sounds, the difference disappears in a specific context. That is, if we have, for example, a voiced and voiceless consonants like the bilabials b and p, only one of them will occur in a specific context. In German, only the voiceless sound occurs in word final position. Look at the examples. Bäder, Mäuse, Raube, Züge, and Fünfner. Now look at the voiced sounds in these words. When in final position, they all become voiceless. The same process happens in verbs when we move from the infinitive to the imperative. We have reden, red, essen, lies, reiben, ripe, and sagen, sag. So the consonant in word final position, we only find the voiceless counterpart. This is a case of neutralization.